Chitra Hanstad. I'm the Senior Ambassador for Landesa.
My name is Isabelle Kamariza and I'm from Rwanda and I'm the founder of Solid Africa.
The organization that I work for, Landesa, did receive a windfall gift. Actually, we received 3 of them. And the way that we communicate that is so important, the way we tell that story. Some organizations that receive windfall gifts choose not to communicate that to the general public. And that's because they're afraid that possibly if donors hear that they've received a windfall gift, they might not want to support them anymore. I think at Landesa, we kind of went the opposite way. I think donors, just like any other human being, like to be complimented and recognized. And so we wanted to thank our donors. We wanted to recognize them publicly.
So what you want to avoid when receiving a big gift, it's really that impression that some of the people that have helped you, some of your donors that you have that are already funding you, feeling that, okay, so now this organization is becoming too big. Is actually my money gonna help? Is actually my money gonna do something? Or should I focus maybe on smaller organization? And that's why sometimes having that gift, because mostly it comes in an area that we call it like the mezzanine kind of funding stage, meaning like you have the early stage, then you have the kind of mezzanine, and then you have the big scale. So which means that for me, a gift most of the time give you in that mezzanine area where you are before really you take on into that big scale. So it's to be able to express that to your current donors that this gift is helping you to achieve the mission and the milestone you have set. For them to understand that their help is needed even more because now you have had you have put other resources, so their resources will have even a greater impact. I think really communicating about that is really, really important. The other thing also about the gifts, like the more it's communicated out there in terms of the amount of money that you have received, if you have received a gift of like 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, I have seen that when the money sometimes is put out there saying like this is how much, sometimes also it can attract, I would say, negative, I'll call it like negative attention. There's a whole area where people now like hack non-profits. So the more you put how much money, you can also be vulnerable for all those people that are trying to hack accounts, to go into things, to go into the non-profits and be able to harm or say, you'll become a target. You can become a target that way. I've seen other people also in terms of communicating where they will say, receive that gift, but not saying the amount. I think for each organization is really to figure out what is these gifts coming to do for us and have a strategy before communicating it. Because of course you can be too excited, and I can understand when you receive a call and they say this is how much, and you never dream or never imagine that the organization can receive that much money in one way, it can be overwhelming. So I think really taking a step back and having a whole strategy on what the money will be there to serve, but how do you communicate about that gift?
So when you receive a windfall gift, the communication is a little different. You want to communicate on all your platforms that you've received a windfall gift, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's your Instagram page. You want to communicate that even on your website because a windfall gift are usually from donors that most of the public knows. Mackenzie Scott, Co-Impact, Hilton Prize, Skoll Award. So most of the public has heard about these windfall organizations. And the reason you want to highlight it on your website or on all of your social media platforms, maybe in your Christmas letter, in your communications that goes out regularly, is because it builds your credibility. It shows that your organization is well thought of, that people that have vetted it highly have trusted you and have trusted you with these finances in a windfall gift. So you want to highlight it in every possible platform, and shout it from the rooftops when it does happen, and celebrate it well. When you look at donors, you don't want to look at them as homogeneous. Donors are heterogeneous. There's so many different types of donors, and you don't want to communicate with them all in the same way. So for example, you've got your high net worth individuals that are really investing in your organization, in your mission. And you're not going to communicate with them the same way you would, for example, $100 a month, a monthly donor that's giving you $50 a month or $100 a month. Social media like Facebook or Instagram, those are your 1 minute bites, or not even 1 minute, 10-second bites that donors can first engage with you. When they're first starting to get to know you, they keep track of what you're doing on social media. Now, they might be monthly donors, they might be a one-time gift, a one-off, but that content is primarily for those that are just starting to get involved with you. Now, as they're going up the chain and becoming like a mid-level donor, like in our organization, that's anywhere between 1,000 and 10,000. Well, you need to have a mid-level program for them, and the communication to them is more frequent, it's deeper, it's more targeted for their interests. We actually, in my previous employment, we had someone that was specifically working on that mid-range donor, and we would put out a quarterly newsletter that was full of pictures, and we would highlight one of those mid-level donors. So we had a donors corner, we had a specific project that we would highlight, and a person that worked there, one of our staff highlighted, one of our refugee stories highlighted. And so that was designed just for those mid-level donors. So they're going a little bit deeper with the stories. Also, these people got phone calls. They would get a phone call at least once a quarter, a personal phone call. So that medium of using a phone and talking to them, hearing a personal voice, that was also part of that mid-level. And when you get to high net worth donors, you're going to have a much deeper engagement with them. And that's more personal. So you've got people in leadership. So you've got your CEO, you've got your director of programs that will meet with these people periodically, depending on what their interest is. And you're going to spend a lot more time really understanding what their interest is. And for example, like if my high net worth donors, I get to know them super well. I know who their family is. I know if their kids are in high school or in college. And that's because you need to figure out what is the best time to communicate with them, or sending them a special note when their daughter graduates from college, just saying congratulations, or someone in the family is getting married. You'll know that about your high net worth individuals that are investing in you very deeply.
First of all is to know the rules of engagement, knowing with your donor, and be able to be candid about it and ask, like, what are your expectations? How do you want us to communicate? Is it okay if we release this? Is it okay if we put your logo there? So once you know, then you know the person where they stand and what they want. What do they want to be out about that windfall gift? I have few founders that we really discuss a lot on text and WhatsApp, and it works really, really fine. On top of emails, like the small wins, you share something, and then all of that will be seen on the newsletter. But also for small things, like if you have, if you are wondering, maybe, was the money sent already or was it sent? I didn't see the email. It might be like, you feel like maybe writing an email and copying people would be too overwhelming as you're waiting, but a little text, a little WhatsApp always goes a long way. But also that comes with the relationship, as I said. Maybe as the first time it's difficult, but what I've seen is that WhatsApp is really working a lot for us. And now with WhatsApp, you can even send documents. You can send your annual report with WhatsApp. Yeah, so even have some donors who I still have on WhatsApp, and I'll just give them the annual report. And then when the team will send, they will send to their team of the foundation. But that specific donor himself as an individual, I already have sent it in on WhatsApp because we're already discussing throughout the year. So I think for me on the way to actually disseminate your information on how you reach out to donors is to be innovative in a way. Like we have different areas, but then we tailor also to the person, and then we see. And then some of our donors will say, I don't do WhatsApp, but I'm always on iMessage, and then we'll text him. So I'll say that's how we do it.
But one of the other things that I think organizations fall down on is that they think that's the end, getting the gift. That's the end product. No, once you get the gift, you want to engage the donor even more. If they're that excited about your organization that they've just given you a large gift, use them to be your voice. So some of the things that I've done in the past when a donor gives is ask them if they would join me on a new donor call, or if they would be willing to have an event in their home where they would introduce us to other donors, invite their friends, and do something very simple, very elegant in their home. Would you be willing to host and invite your friends? And we'll do the program, but we do it in your home so we can meet some other people. Ask them if they would give you a reference or a small shout out, and sometimes I actually, you can write it for them, and say, would you be willing to endorse this, and use their, their endorsement of you on your website, on your brochures. There's so many ways you can use donors that are truly engaged with you. Don't let the gift be the last thing, but use them as your ambassadors to meet new people, to meet their network, and to speak well of you in the world. It's much better if somebody else is saying this is a great organization than you, who's getting a paycheck from that organization, correct? So if someone else is endorsing you, and someone with clout, someone that has, a great job, if they're the ones that are endorsing you, that goes so much further with another donor than if you're saying, oh, we're so great. So use those donors in an impactful way, because they want to do that. Many of them want to do that for you. They're so excited about what you're doing. They don't get to go out and actually do the work that we have the privilege of doing, but they want to be involved. They want to be part of the mission. That's why they've given you that large gift. So find other strategies, other ways to use them past just the financial contribution. We thought, what could we do to make land rights more colloquial? How can we attract donors who are new, who are from the millennial generation, from younger generations? Because most of our donors were older, they understood systems change, they've been with us for years. So we came up with this crazy idea. I had a relationship with someone that's a New York Times best-selling author of a series of romance novels called Bridgerton. It's also a Netflix sensation now. And so she's a good friend of mine. She was my neighbor. And so I asked her, and as I thought about it, I thought, of course, this is crazy. It's out of the box. But the women that she wrote about in Regency era England, the reason they were so dependent on the patriarchy is because the women didn't have the right to inherit land or own land. And they had to get married at young ages because they didn't have agency. And half of the countries in the world still don't have those land rights for women. We're still in Regency era England in many of the countries where Landesa works. So I asked her if she would be our global goodwill ambassador. And what we did is start doing these Regency teas for women's land rights. It's a Bridgerton Landesa collaboration. And we did a tea party at Skull World Forum that was attended by donors, high net worth donors. We really needed to engage more high net worth donors in a very creative way. So we had this beautiful tea party and we had the right people in the room because it was just weird enough that people wanted to check it out. And now we've got requests for tea parties all over the world.
We use like kind of, a CRM, kind of really a client's management like in any business. But also I had some mentors in fundraising that actually, because even if you have a system that actually showed us like how to put, because as a team, also as a fundraising, you have a lot of people, even if you have 2 people, how do you communicate, for example, that this organization have already approached them, they are not interested, but you have to come in 1 year. Or this person doesn't like to receive a lot of emails because they have expressed it in the past. So your CRM has also to be detailed so that you put this person only wants to be contacted once a year. This won't be, or this person will only be contacted by that person because that's where you create the relationship. So those are the tools really for me that we use, but for sure there might be other tools, and now AI helping. I think there are greater tools that we also are looking to do better in the way we are strategizing about that. The other part also is that if we want to invest into attracting bigger donations, bigger windfall gifts, we have then to give ourselves the ability to build a team to be able to attract those funds, to be able to do compelling grants, to be able to communicate well. So it's also on what do I need to do to be able to attract those, and those are the investments that are needed for you to be able to achieve that.
You might have the greatest mission in the world, but really to be transparent, to be authentic and truthful with your donors and build genuine relationships with them. I think that's the one big piece of advice I'd give is take time to get to know people in this generation of, everything's click, click, click and looking at your phone. People still want conversation. They still want relationship. They still want to have something in their lives that's bigger than themselves. And so if you can give them an avenue to be involved in something bigger than themselves and show them that you're having impact and with partnering with you, that they can have impact too, I think you're going to be in a great position to attract good funding. And I think that you can change the world that way.